Here I was, living in one of the most exciting countries in the world, but I was too stressed about money to actually enjoy it. So I did it. I landed the dream job here in the UK, and I was buzzing for the first payslip. I was so happy. I couldn't wait for it to drop in my bank account. I had already calculated my monthly take home. You know how it goes, right? I did the simple math. Take the annual salary, divide by 12, deduct tax, and I saw a very nice number sitting on my calculator. I was already planning trips, figuring out how much I can send back home, and even window shopping for jewelry and clothes. Then it was the end of the month. Now, the first thing that I saw was the amount hitting my bank account. The shock that it gave me made me run to go and check my payslip. I opened the payslip, and as I scrolled past the headline, I saw the deductions, tax, which I had already calculated, so it should be fine, right? But I didn't account for national insurance and pension. And even the tax, I was misinformed, so I didn't even calculate it well. So when I saw the number on my payslip, I had to accept defeat, and I saw my dreams disappearing from my eyes.
Have you ever had a dreams that you had you
That's how discombobulated I was. Like, I couldn't speak. I was shocked, for real. Someone said when she saw her first payslip, she threw her phone away and broke the phone. I'm not that dramatic, but you get the gist. And I totally understand why she did that, because the final figure, actual cash that hit my bank account, was nowhere near what I was dreaming of. It was a proper gut punch. And that, my friends, was Shege #1, proudly sponsored by the UK financial system. Now, in this video, I'm going to walk you through how I went from that feeling of shock and disappointment to building a financial system that's letting me thrive as an immigrant in the UK. If you are new here, hi, my name is Yvonne, and on this channel, I share my personal experiences, career, and personal finance tips to make your stay in the UK easier. So I will highly recommend that you subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, join the family so you don't miss any videos from me. For now, let's begin.
Lose won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket.
So, like I said, seeing my net pay for the first time wasn't just confusing. It felt like a betrayal. And I was staring at my contract with its big, impressive annual salary, then looked at my bank account, which was telling me a different story. I was comparing the two. They were not speaking to each other. Now, let's say I was on a 42k per annum salary. Hypothetically speaking, my quick maths told me I was going to get around 3,500 per month. Hypothetically speaking, what actually landed was 2,500. So a whole £1,000 had just vanished, gone with the wind. Well, not really with the wind, because you get your pension back at some point, but you get my point. And this is the payslip shock most of us go through, which feels very personal, but it's a universal experience for everyone new to working in the UK. So let's break down the culprits, the lines on your payslip that take out the huge chunks of money and where they go. So the first one is the income tax. As some people will say, the PAYE, pay as you earn, is the government's own piggy bank. They will tell you, we didn't work with you, but 20 to 45% of that money you worked for is ours. They are using it to build schools, build roads, basically fund the economy or fund the country. And in the UK, you get a personal allowance, which for the tax year 2025-2026, it's 12,570. You don't pay any tax on that amount, but anything you earn above that gets taxed. And we have tiers. We have 20%, 40%, and 45%. I've done a detailed video on this here. You can check it out. But most of my salary fell into the basic band, which is a 20% haircut. Now, next on the list was national insurance, or NI, like most people say. Honestly, initially, I thought this was another tax with a different name, but then I later found out it's actually a separate deduction. So the NI contribution pays for specific state benefits, like the state pensions and job seeker allowance. For most employees in 2025, that's another 8% of your earnings gone. Above a certain threshold, there's a threshold that they don't go over. And this payment is not a choice. You can't opt out. It's mandatory. Every person working above 18 years needs to pay. Then I saw another deduction, which is pensions. Now, this one was a little different because technically it was still my money. It just wasn't money I could spend immediately. And for workplace pensions, the UK has an auto-enrolment system, meaning your employer has to sign you up for it as soon as you start working with them. So a percentage of my salary was automatically being yanked away for my retirement. Yes, I said yanked because I did not sign up for it. And you have the option to opt out. And the only reason I didn't opt out was because my employer was also going to top up with their own money. So it was basically free cash. It's just that it's for my retirement. And who doesn't like free money? So between tax, national insurance, and my own pension contribution, a huge chunk of my salary was gone before I could even say cheers, mate. So that's big salary on the job offer. It's a fantasy figure. They are playing games with your mind. You have to do the calculation properly because your reality and your budget has to be built on your net pay. Only number that truly matters. Don't be like me, please. Now that's 1,000 difference. Wasn't just a number on a spreadsheet. It was a huge hit to my plans allowance, and my sense of security. Oh. That was my savings money, my send money back home money. It frustrated me. Oh. But then beyond that, I was like, so what are we going to do now? Because my budget wasn't just tight, it was suffocating. And the shock didn't stop there. Oh, no. With the UK, it's never one thing. A few weeks later, another bill came through. I'm sure if you guess, you will be right. Council tax. My hatred for this bill, only God knows. So in my country, property taxes are the landlord's problem. And sometimes they will just roll it into your rent without you even knowing. And I like that. Sometimes when you don't know certain things, you have peace of mind. You don't worry about it that much. But not in the UK. They will send the bill straight to you as if you bought the property. And it could be hundreds of pounds per month. It pays for local stuff like bin collection and libraries. I've never used bin collection, yeah, fine. I've never used a library in this country. Maybe I should start using it too. They've been taxing me, sir. But nonetheless, it's a massive expense that you will probably not plan for. Even if you plan for it, you don't know where you come here, you go and stay. Because they also have bands. Depending on where you stay, it will be higher or lower. So, and then on top of that, there's the general cost of living, right? Which is going up year on year. Rent, especially in London, took almost half of my money. There's more money too that is left that I am managing. Then you add utilities, gas, electricity, water, internet, TV license. As for TV license, we don't count it. And when you are renting, they will never add these things to the rental. It depends on where you are renting at. But most of the time, you pay all these bills yourself. Then TFL will also take their share at ungodly hours. Even a simple trip to the grocery store feels insanely expensive. These days, you go to Tesco, you tap 3 things, £20. Why? And when you are experiencing all of this for the first time, you would come to a point in the journey where you will actually feel the squeeze. You are working hard, earning what sounds like a great salary, but you feel like you are barely treading waters. And for many of us immigrants, there is the unspoken pressure, the black tax, the responsibility to send money back home to support family. And when your take-home pay is much less than you budgeted for, that pressure becomes heavyweight. So I felt trapped. Here I was, living in one of the most exciting countries in the world, but I was too stressed about money to actually enjoy it. I was surviving, but I definitely wasn't thriving. And I knew something had to change. I couldn't change the tax system, but I realized I could change my own. So how did I fix it? I'm telling you, it wasn't an overnight thing, but I went from total confusion to total control using a 3-step system that anyone can copy. The first step was education and acceptance. I stopped being scared of getting into the details and actually started educating myself. I went down a rabbit hole on the gov.uk website, which is actually an amazing resource. I read everything I could about tax bans, national insurance, and pensions. That's when I learned my pension contribution wasn't just a deduction, it was an investment. And like I said, my employer was also paying into it. And by law, they have to contribute at least 3% of my qualifying earnings. Free money. Once I understood that, I stopped seeing it as a loss and started seeing it as a long-term win. Because at the end of the day, when I retire, I will get that money back in addition to whatever my employer contributed. Plus, by the time I retire, the money would have grown as well because it's being invested. This stage was all about acceptance. I had to accept that the gross salary is just a marketing number and the net salary is the only number that matters for my day-to-day life. Once I made peace with that, I could finally make a real plan. I knew I needed a budget, but not just some old spreadsheet. I needed a system with zero room for nasty surprises. So I used the famous 50-30 rule as my guide, but I adapted it to be brutally realistic for my situation. And I've also left this spreadsheet in the description box. You can check it out. It's free. But the rule is simple. 50% of your net income goes to your needs, 30% to your wants, and 20% to savings. So here is my breakdown. The 50% is for the things that absolutely needs to be paid. No excuses. And to make it work, I list down everything. Rent, council tax, utilities, groceries, phone bill, broadband. This chunk of my budget was sacred. And at the time, it came to about 1,250 of my 2,500 take-home pay. Nailing this number meant I knew my bills were covered. The 30% is for fun stuff, the lifestyle category. And this is where I had to be really honest with myself. And this covers eating out or takeout, subscription, shopping for clothes or gadgets, hobbies and entertainment, travel and weekend trips. But it's not every month that I buy clothes and it's not every month that I travel. So for the purposes of this video, I will add everything to it. And sometimes this come up to £750. Sometimes I have to pick and choose because I can't do it all every month. I realized that maybe it will save me a bit if sometimes I meal prep to take to the office. So I do that sometimes. And when it came to phone contracts, I made sure I took advantage of the discounted ones. The goal here is to spend mindfully. Now, the 20% is for financial goals, is what gives me hope because this is how we get ahead. My last £500 was all about building my future. and I split it into 3 priorities. Emergency fund is priority number 1, and the goal was to save at least 3 to 6 months of my essential living expenses. I started by automating a £250 transfer into a separate high yield savings account each time I get paid. And this was a cash ISA that was giving me 4% interest rate at the time. I recently discovered a 7% savings account that I'm trying out, but I think you can only put £300 a month, which is actually good. But I also have video on ISAs here. You can check it out. Emergency fund is your shield and your cushion. In case anything happens, you have something to fall onto. Priority number 2 is sending money back home. I budget a fixed amount. Currently is around £150 for my family back home. I had to make it a line in my budget spreadsheet because it is something that is constant. It's not going away, and it removes any monthly guilt or stress from my mind. Then the third priority was long-term investments. With my final £100, I started investing. I opened a stocks and shares ISA and began putting that money into a simple low-cost index fund. It wasn't a lot, but starting the habit was more important than the amount. I actually have more videos about investments coming your way, and I also have details on how to get started in the description box as always. There's also this video that you can check out. It's about ISAs and investing and taking advantage of ISAs in the UK. ISAs are tax-free. You don't get taxed on whatever you earn on it. If any of the points I've made is hitting home and you are getting some value out of this, please do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And do let me know if you want more videos breaking down UK finances for immigrants, because I know I went through it before I got a hang of it. Now, I did not just do this with willpower. I had a few key tools in my corner, and I have listed them also in the checklist, which is in the description box. The first one is my banking app. Most UK banks now have brilliant apps that automatically categorizes your spending. I currently use Revolut for that, and it gave me a real-time picture of where my once money was going, which was a game changer for staying on track. The second one is a simple spreadsheet. Nothing fancy, just a quick Excel sheet that I use to map out my 50-30-20. Like I showed you earlier, I use it to plan and track my big goals and also see how close I am to hitting my emergency fund target. I also have a video coming on it on how exactly to use that spreadsheet, so don't worry. And finally, the third thing is having a mindset of always learning. Like I said, I started from the gov.org website, but now I also read blogs, listen to some UK finance podcasts, and the UK financial world is always changing. So staying informed is the best way to stay in control. And there are incredible free resources out there like Citizens Advice and the government's Money Helper service that can help you. So looking back, the first payslip was a painful but necessary wake-up call. It forced me to stop being a passive spectator in my own financial life and become an active participant. The Shege I faced that day is now replaced with a sense of calm and control. And the journey of financial shock to financial stability is one so many of us face when moving to a new country. And the UK system can feel very confusing. Trust me, I've been there. And I thought it was even unfair at first. But it's actually a system you can understand and master. It all starts with facing the numbers, teaching yourself how it works, and making a deliberate plan for your money. And you can build a life here where you're not just getting by, but actively building the future you came here for. So I would love to hear from you. What was the biggest shock on your first UK payslip? Let's chat in the comments because we are all in this together. I know I'm not the only one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my other videos. Bye. Hey, so still you won't subscribe? You've watched the video to the end even. Wow. Very shocking. You're shocking me. No problem. I'll see you in my other videos.